Hi, everybody. Kira here. I decided I should probably just do a little video here in response to some of the Candace Owens controversy that's been going around. I wrote an article about Candace last year, about a year ago. Some of you may recall that one. It got a lot of play. It's kind of going around again. And it was really a response to some of the ways that Candace has been problematic for Black conservatives, especially in the defense of conservatism, and why so many Black conservatives don't really care for her or her messaging. And yesterday, my colleague Jennifer O'Connell at Red State wrote a piece about Candace and Brandon Tatum. I always do that. I'm sorry, Brandon. Brandon Tatum, and how their style, their message, their personalities or their platforms are really becoming problematic for Black conservatives in general. And this is becoming a more, we're speaking out more against this as Black conservatives on the right. We're speaking out more against it because it's really becoming a problem for all of us. I thought I would just leave it there last year. I didn't want to get into these games because I've been doing this job for a long time. I've been doing this job long before Candace showed up, and I'll do it long after she leaves. It's not that I want to get caught up in this, and it's not that I feel that you are somehow wrong or bad if you like her or if you enjoy watching her stuff. I view this as the way that I might view doctrinal issues in the Christian church. There are other denominations that I certainly have doctrinal issues with, but we're all one under the umbrella of Christ, right? We're all one in the body. And so these are just kind of in-house issues that we're having. And it's the same with this. Can you be a conservative and like Candace and not like Kira? Of course you can. And I would, and vice versa. And I would never decide that, that there's some kind of, here's a group of people that you're supposed to like. And if you don't like them, then you're not a conservative. But as somebody whose job it is to speak for conservatism and also speak as a Black American who is a conservative, I'm having a lot of issues with how Candace is representing us and how she's being allowed to represent us, and what that's doing to the message of conservatism and conservative principles in general. So I decided to attack this the same way that I would attack one of my podcasts, Just Listen to Yourself with Kira Davis. That's a podcast where we engage in critical thinking, and I like to take talking points and break down the talking points, and that's how I make my arguments. That's how I challenge people to think differently. So that I just take some of the talking points that I would typically get when discussing Candace, or some of these talking points that Jennifer got on her article last night. They're always the same, and there's always a lot of them. So I thought I'd break it down by talking points and just let you know where I stand on the issue. And again, I do not wish to personally attack Candace or Brandon as human beings. I don't know them. And frankly, I doubt that they even know who I am. So but this is something that's on my mind. And as a commentator, it's my job to commentate. So here I go. One of the talking points I always get is, you're jealous. You're jealous. I think that's probably a natural reaction that people have when you come at somebody that they really like or care for. I'm not jealous. I would love to make the kind of money she makes. Does that make me jealous? Is that a jealousy thing or aspirational? I would love to make that kind of money doing what I do. But jealous, no. What would I? Am I jealous of the popularity or the fame or sort of the brushes with fame? Like, what would it be that I would be jealous of? I think what I hear when you commenters, you imaginary commenters out there, say that is that I wish I was more popular with white people. That's what I hear. And so no, I've never thought that, and I'm not a jealous person by nature. I mean, even in my own marriage, we're my husband and I, we trust each other, right? We trust each other, so there's no room for jealousy here. And I trust God's path for me, so there's no room for jealousy here. But again, like, there's no doubt that I would love to earn the kind of money that she earns and be able to talk to some of the really cool people that she gets to talk to that I'm not quite on that level to talk to. I don't know that that's jealousy, but also that would be super petty to write whole articles about her based on my own jealousy that I can't have those things. And I don't know how to assure you that I'm not that petty, but I'm not that petty. So no, I'm not jealous. I don't think people who write things about her platform are jealous. I think that they're trying to express themselves. It does feel a little bit condescending when a bunch of white people tell you that you're jealous of other black people because enough white people don't like you the way they like that other black person. I'm sure if you step back, take a breath, and look at that argument, you could see how that's offensive, right? All right, another argument I hear is well, I love her because she's bold. She's really bold. I love her boldness. Well, bold for whom? You know, who is she being bold for? Is she being bold for the black community? You know, what are the things that she says that make you go, she is really standing in the gap for black Americans. She is really trying to connect these legacies of black America and white America and what all that means for being one America. And who is she? When you say she's bold, what do you mean? What do you mean when you say she's bold? Do you mean that she's bold in saying the things about black people that you wish black people would say out loud? Is that what you mean when she's bold? Because I don't see that as boldness. I see that as pandering. Like, how is it bold to say things that your audience is going to want to hear? It's like whenever an LGBT artist comes out, or now they all want to be non-binary now, or whatever the thing is, and they come out, and then everyone goes, "Oh my gosh, they're so brave! They just came out in favor of gay rights. They just came out as trans. They just came out as non-binary." And you're like, left going, what is so bold about that? What is so brave about that? Who are they talking to? They're talking to their people, and they all love that stuff. That is the stuff that makes you a hero in liberal Hollywood. So who's being bold? And that's how I feel about that. Like, what is she saying to you or us that is controversial? That is like so courageous. She's saying what you like to hear about black people. I'm using the royal you here. You watching this video right now may not be of that mind, so don't feel accused. You should only feel accused if I'm talking about you. Then I am accusing you. So my question is, who is she being bold for? Is that message so bold that it's a message I would take to my black family and my friends and my old hood and community and say, hey, look how bold this woman is? Absolutely not. I don't know any. In fact, I'm always having to defend my job and my political views from my black liberal friends and families, from her. I'm always having to defend those things based on what she says, because they say, well, look, all of your white colleagues over there on this side of the fence love all the stuff she's saying. They agree with it. Look how they say she's bold, and to us this feels offensive. How are you going to defend it, Kira? And it's like, I'm not going to defend it. It's not my job to defend it. And I wish I didn't have to even consider it, but people keep asking me about it, so here I am. So who's she being bold towards? It's not a strategy of speaking truth to power, because the power isn't even taking her seriously. They're not even listening to her because she's really being bold to a certain crowd. And I believe that the things she says they confirm people's biases about black people, and that's what feels bold. Well, these are the things I've never been able to say out loud about black America and black culture that I really think are true. And here it is coming from this black woman, and it's just confirming what I've already believed. She's refreshing, people say. Again, what is refreshing about the message? Is it any different than a lot of other conservatives have said about black culture and black families? And is it any different? No. So to me, when you say she's refreshing, what I hear is it's really refreshing to hear the messages I want to hear coming out of a black person's mouth. That's what I hear. What refreshing would be something that you haven't heard before. something that feels new, something that is challenging. What is challenging to you about her messages about, and I realize I'm generalizing here because I'm not going to go through her tweets and read every one for you and tell you what's wrong. To a certain extent, I'm just trusting the viewer here to be educated about this topic, which is probably a lot to ask on the internet. But some people will say, well, where do you disagree, Kira? Tell us where you disagree with Candace. Thank you, imaginary viewer. We don't disagree on a whole lot, but one fundamental area we disagree on is how how valuable we think Black culture is to America, and how valuable we think Black Americans are to the success and history of this country. I think that's where we differ. I could be wrong, but the proof is only in the pudding. And when I read what she has to offer me, and I've listened to what she has to offer me, I never really hear positive messages about the Black community. I only hear about where we have failed and where we are maybe lying about our experiences, and maybe where we're blowing racism out of proportion. But there's never any alternate message, which is the why. She never really addresses the why. Why is it a problem for Black Americans to have, to be 73% of kids born into single parent households? That's a statistic that is often used to insult Black people and insult their intelligence, and therefore delineate why they vote wrong. Oh, look, they can't even get it together. But why? Why is that number bad? Like, I can tell you why. I can tell you why we want that number to be better. I can tell you what the statistics say about all of the numbers downward from there, and how family life and nuclear family affects the Black community, and how I think we could get back to a situation where we have a majority of nuclear families in the Black community. And I can tell you what the statistic doesn't mean. It doesn't mean that there's no dads around anywhere, and that every Black child is just fatherless. Doesn't mean all those things. I can tell you, I don't think I think she has talking points, but not much substance. So on the surface, it absolutely, of course, it's going to sound like we agree on a lot of stuff. I could sit and talk to her. I've watched a lot of her PragerU videos and podcasts, and I could sit there and it's like, yeah, she's hitting every talking point. But that's what they are, talking points. And my show, again, just listen to yourself with Kira Davis, wherever you find your podcast. On my show, I break down talking points, and I draw them out to their logical conclusion. And I'm getting good at it. And I can tell when somebody doesn't know the end conclusion of their talking point. So that's why I say, like, it's hard for me to listen to her, because all I hear is talking points, but I don't ever really hear underlying thought process or analysis, and I never hear solutions. And maybe it's just that I'm not listening enough, but gosh, I feel like I get a lot of her stuff. And I feel like I hear a lot of it. You guys share it a lot, and I don't see any solutions. I don't see any, here's what we should do. Here's what, it's always our fault that we don't want to be conservative. It's always our fault that we don't want to vote Republican. And it's not much about how do we entice people to even hear the message of conservative principles in the first place, or even to shed their preconceived notions of what happens on the right. How do we entice people to do that? I know I can't do that with Candace in tow. I can't bring her into a discussion with other Black people about the Black community and be influential. I can't do it. She is a hobble in those conversations. I don't know how else to put it. So I know, like, a lot of white people are very excited about her, but I think because she's saying the things that you want to hear. She's saying the things that confirm what you think about Black people. But I don't know her to be saying things that feel persuasive and give persuasive reasons for why conservative principles are actually the best way for success for Black Americans and thus for America at large. Because I'm not going to get on my platform. You go see my stuff for why I have those messages and why I say things like that. All right. So where do we disagree? We disagree probably on the value, I think, of Black Americans in this country. And we also probably agree on almost every talking point. But the difference is that I know what the talking points mean, and I can defend everyone. And that's what happens a lot of times when all you have is talking points. We call it clapter language, right? You see it on your late night TV shows. Stephen Colbert says something and it's not really a joke, but it's just like, Donald Trump is the worst. It's a clapter line, right? It's just designed to get clapping, designed to get people clapping. That's what a lot of I see coming from Candace and Brandon and maybe one or two other people in their circles. It's a lot of clapter stuff. Here's my red meat tweet, y'all. Clap. Give me 200,000 retweets. Again, not a whole lot of substance behind it, like Colbert. Not a joke. A cue. For a lot of Candace's stuff, I don't feel like it's a thought. It's a cue. Why not focus on other issues? That's a complaint I get a lot, and my colleagues get a lot when we talk about this issue. Why not focus on other issues? Well, first of all, I'm not 2 years old, so I can focus on more than one thing at a time. Second of all, I would love to not think about Candace or what she's doing over at the Daily Wire or some of her messaging. I would rather not think about the cringe factor that comes with some of her fans and what that means to the discussion I'm trying to have in circles of persuasion and influence. I would love to not have to think about her, but people keep tweeting her into my timeline. People keep comparing her to me or me to her. Again, I don't even think she knows who I am, so that's not, that's nothing to her. But, people keep wanting me to answer for her. People keep wanting me to praise her and get excited about her and talk about what a difference she's made for Black engagement. And that's a lie. It hasn't been, it's been damaging. She hasn't helped. It hasn't helped. It's been damaging. And I think for a while I've taken the road of, I want to be gracious here. And I know that there are people on my side of the fence in this industry who like Candace, who I consider friends, who like her and play her stuff on their shows and bring her onto their shows. And so I always have to consider that too, right? Like, what kind of tensions will I be causing with other people in my industry that I need to be networking with? These are all considerations that you have to make as a professional pundit, period. Black, white, always these are considerations you have to make. So that doesn't bother me. I'm just saying that this is always in my face. I would love to not have to deal with it. But when Candace puts out a tweet on Juneteenth, like, Juneteenth is lame and I'll never celebrate it, I'll only celebrate July 4th. Who is that for? Who's that tweet for? That's bold? You want to tell me that that's boldness for who? How is that being bold? What group of people do you think are looking at that tweet and going, wow, yeah, absolutely. She makes a great point there. Is it people that already agree with her? Then that's not very bold. I look at tweets like that and I think, we're not talking about the same things here. And I love this country. I love being American. And one of the things I love about being American is being a Black American. And I love the diversity and the strangeness and the loudness and the colorfulness, like everything that comes with Black America and being a Black American. I love all of that. And those are things that I fold into my American experience, just like the rest of you do, right? If you're Italian American, if you're Greek American, like you bring those cultures into this larger melting pot that we call America. So I wouldn't expect her to necessarily agree with the Juneteenth thing. You can disagree, totally fine. But like, make that case, make your case. But that was just a clapter tweet. It wasn't designed for people like me. It wasn't designed for me to present to my Black family and say, hey, Candace making sense here. She's being really bold. Maybe you should consider that, the Democrats don't really have our best interest in mind. I can't take it with me. I can't. It doesn't work. And I'm not the only one saying it. I'm not the only one. I may be the only one who's been bold enough to write about it or make videos about it, but I see my other colleagues starting to pipe up because at some point you just have to be like, okay, where does my professionalism end and my personal stake in this begin? And I've not wanted to offend people that I walk with in this industry and who have been very helpful to me. Again, that's just being professional. And it's a risk to offend people that the people you admire and want to work with love. It's a risk to do that. But I think I've reached my limit here. So focus on other issues. I would love to, and I do. You can go find my podcast. You can read my work at Red State. You can find me on a number of shows. I mean, I do lots of shows all the time. I'm on Newsmax. I'm on Fox. Hey, I even did Dr. Phil once. I mean, you can see me all over talking about all kinds of things. Focus on other issues. I can walk and chew gum at the same time. Okay, why not mentor her? I get that a lot. Well, Kira, if you have such a problem with her, why not reach out to her? This one's the silliest one. Like, first of all, I would like to repeat. If Candace knows even who I am, can you imagine? I mean, I would not accept that offer from her. Can you imagine me like, hey, Candace, I really don't like some of the stuff you say, but I want to reach out and mentor you because I think you could use my guidance. Like, that's ridiculous. How infantilizing for me to treat her like that. She is a grown woman. And if she wants mentoring, if she wants help, she's got way more intelligent and accomplished people to reach out to than me. So, and I'm certainly not going to reach out and offer that to her because that's condescending. So I don't want to mentor Candace, and I don't think she wants to mentor me, and I don't think she needs my mentorship. She has a point of view. I disagree with it. End story. I also find that a bit condescending. The conservative right is filled with white guys on TV arguing with each other every day. And you don't get a million hysterical messages on Twitter talking about, you guys, white people have to stick together. And just this battle, you got to focus on the real enemy instead of calling out elitist conservatives or conservative, shills on our side. You need to focus on the left. Nobody says that. When white guys are battling in the party between the grassroots and the upper echelons of the party, no one's going, you guys are you should focus on the left. No, they're going, you guys need to hash it out. But somehow, because we're Black, we're all supposed to agree. We're all supposed to be on the same page. We're all supposed to be saying the same things. And we're never supposed to be on a different page. And people get shocked when they find out some Black folks don't like each other. Plenty of Black people out there I don't like. I'm not going to name names. But yeah, and there's plenty of Black people out there who don't like me. So it's just, again, this speaks to this, I think, I don't know what else to call it. I guess I would say bigotry. It's a type of bigotry on the right that assumes that we're all part of this monolith of thought. We always hate it when the left labels Black conservatives as a monolith, but then we kind of do the same, right? So I don't need to reach out to Candace. I don't need to mentor her. We don't need to be on the same page. We don't need any of that. We're both two thinking human beings and adults with intelligent thoughts of our own. And I am challenging her thoughts. That's what I'm doing. It's a challenge. And it could, if she wanted to, it could be a discussion, but I would like to point out again that we're not necessarily on the same publicity level for something like that to happen. So I'm not opposed to it, but I'm not as famous as people think I am. You're pulling to the left. I read these in the comments on Jennifer's piece from yesterday, and I have to say that of all the comments, forget the jealousy comments, like it's so taggy. Everyone, you're jealous. Forget that, or forget the comments that are condescending about, hey, us black conservatives are supposed to all stick together and be sitting in one wagon while y'all pull. So I don't mind those, but this comment was like, I don't know how to express this. Why is it why is being pro-black the same as pulling to the left? I can already hear listeners to this video going, Kara, what if I said pro-white? This isn't a video about that. Okay, this isn't a video about that. We can take on that and how that's unfair, and why can't we say that I love being white if you can say I love being black? We can take all that in another discussion. This isn't about that. Why is it considered pulling to the left if you want recognition for the cultural differences between black Americans and everybody else? That is not pulling to the left. And we always get a lot of criticism for, why aren't blacks voting Republican? They're so conservative. Their mindsets are so conservative. They should, be voting Republican. But like, why would we, when every time we want to be black and want to celebrate blackness, then we're like, oh, you're not really conservative. You're pulling to the left. We're not really inviting people to share this experience with us. It's not a very inviting atmosphere on the right. And then the left, it really is. I know we like to talk about how hateful the left can be and the strange things they do and say about people like me, and of course all that is true. But and I can say this because I'm a former liberal, right? So, but the message feels inviting. Because you're inviting people to be who they are and stay who they are, and sort of commiserate with you and share your values, and maybe, hit a few protesters. We don't have anything like that on the right. We're not inviting people to come as they are and stay as they are. We want them to blend into this imaginary monolith that we have over here that doesn't exist, and that seems to exclude any mention of what we might consider black culture and any praise of it. So that is that argument. And I've probably been doing this long enough. I shudder to think about the comments. But I don't know what else to say here, except that I guess I can only reiterate that this doesn't come from a place of jealousy. And I bet I could sit down with Candace and I don't know if she drinks, but I drink a lot. So I could drink her drink too, but we could sit down and have drinks and be fine. Like I've had plenty of great times with liberal pundits who on TV we might seem like foes, but that's not how it is when you get out in the real world. And that's a deception for TV, because it's good clicks. So I have no doubt that she's a lovely person, and there's a good reason why so many people do like her. But I just want you, dear viewer, to know that I can't take her to the black community and be influential at all. Blexit is a lie. I'm sorry. It's a great idea, and I love the name. It's a catchy name. But I'm afraid that the situation on the ground is a lot more complicated than people want to think it is. And I have I'm not going to get into all the solutions. I'm a Christian, so a lot of my solutions are going to come down to y'all need Jesus. But but I know that there are other things on the ground that need to happen. My time serving my community changed me from being a liberal to being a conservative, because I saw that the solutions that were being offered weren't working. They were called solutions, but really it wasn't help. It was destructive, and we still deal with these things. So there's solutions to be found, and I would love to have those kinds of discussions more often. But it seems to me like a lot of times on the right, we're only allowed to start those discussions with Black people are just responsible for all their own problems, and they're criminals, and their kids are dumb because they're not achieving in school. And that's bold to say those things out loud. I feel like that's what a lot of times it boils down to. And it's a lot more complicated than our dads are missing, which they are. Never going to hear Kira. Well, I hope someday you do hear Kira say that statistic doesn't exist anymore. But I'm never going to lie about it to make myself feel better. I know what the stats say. Let's talk about how we solve that, and what our community would look like if we solved that number, if we changed that number. I want discussion. I want debate. I want change. But I will not sacrifice dignity or logic to have those things. And the amount of absolutely pathetic and rude comments that my colleague Jennifer has had to put up with on her article, and that I have had to deal with every time I've dared to say even the slightest negative thing about Candace, it's unacceptable. And there's a lot of conservatives who will just be driven out of the conversation because of it. And for a lot of you, you're like, well, that's fine. That's fine. We don't need them anyway. Well, don't talk to me about winning then. Don't talk to me about how do I win the Black vote. If you don't want it, admit it, say it, move on. To me, it's not about the votes. It's about prosperity and success and claiming our rightful place as regular Americans and a part of the tapestry of this country. And how we make that happen by combating hatred on the left and on the right. So I don't know many people. I don't know many Black conservatives, although they're obviously out there, but I don't know many who feel confident in taking Candace's point of view with them when they go to, quote, evangelize for conservatism in their own communities and their own families. And I think there's a reason for that. So, RIP my mentions. Click on my YouTube page and subscribe. I do stuff every now and then. And go follow my podcast, Just Listen to Yourself with Kira Davis. And if you would like to talk to me more about this personally, join my subscription page, davisnation.locals.com, davisnation.locals.com, and there you will find all kinds of open discussion over there. And over in my community, there are people who disagree with me on this issue. And guess what? They still get to be a part of the community. So it's all good. We can do this. Thanks for listening.